What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. Now, out of all the bizarre characters that came out of the brand split, one of my personal favorites was this guy, Jimmy Wang, SmackDown's resident redneck. Now, why in the hell did I like him? It's because he always had a smile on his face despite the ridiculous gimmick. His matches were fun, and it seemed like he was always looking at the positives of the character. I do think he should have had a run with the Cruiserweight title, but it is what it is. If it was up to me, he would have been the one who dethroned Gregory Helms' title reign. His theme song to me was something straight out of K-Rose. Wang Yang's presence added to the already stacked SmackDown roster, and it wasn't like he was a big star, but he was a valuable tool in getting over talent. So there's that. He was all in on the character. Every promo, he's serious. He's all in on the character. He was a redneck that hit high-flying moves. He had a vibrant wrestling style. Was pretty flashy in the ring. The moonsault was picture perfect. He utilized a bunch of kicks, drop kicks, heel kicks. In general, if we put it simply, he was F-U-N. Now, before this video starts, I was actually going to go with Deuce and Domino. I backed off at the last minute, but they'll be coming soon too, so yeah. Anyways, with that said, let's get into it. Jimmy Wang Yang. Now, before the character, James Yoon was better known as Jimmy Yang and Akio. He graduated from the WCW power plant in 1999 and debuted on the WCW roster in early 2000. Yang came up to the roster part of the Junk Dragons faction. After WWF purchased WCW in 2001, Yang competed in their developmental territory before going to All Japan Pro Wrestling. He even had a little stint in TNA during that time period too. In 2003, Yang officially signed with WWE and he was paired with Ryan Sakota to be Tajiri's little henchman. I believe they were supposed to be like the Yakuza, but Tajiri was scared that the real Yakuza would get angry about it, and so I guess Akio was a movie star of sorts. He was like the biggest movie star in Asia. After the group split, Akio wasn't really showcased on SmackDown. He was, however, on Velocity, and the matches he had on that show are widely regarded as hidden gems. Like, for example, the matches with Paul London, damn, if you just watch some of them, they're fun. They're entertaining, they get the crowd interested in it, so there's that. Velocity was his home, but unfortunately, he was released from his WWE contract in July of 2005. In his time outside of WWE, he competed in Ring of Honor during his glory years. He faced the likes of Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Bryan Danielson, and he was doing pretty good. But one night, to be precise, the night of Backlash 2006, Yang wanted to impress a girl he was going out with, and so he visited the backstage area and asked for tickets. Funny enough, he ran into Vince. He asks, "Where you been?" Yang responds, "You fired me." The boss was completely confused, but he assured Yang that he'll talk to him later. Then a couple of agents asked Yang to rehearse a spot with Shawn Michaels in the ring. Shawn informed Vince that Yang isn't under contract, to which he replies, "He should be under contract." This is what he said in the interview. Yang believed Vince was unaware of the fact that Akio was no longer in the company. He received a tryout match the next night on Raw. He aced it and signed with the company the following week. But then, the story of Jimmy Yang takes a turn. Apparently, Vince wanted to saddle Yang with a new gimmick of sorts. Here's what he had to say in a recent interview, and I quote, "This is like the third time this dude's hired me. This is kind of crazy. I wasn't expecting it, but this is the third time, so I kind of like sneak in his office. A little knock and he opens up, 'Come in.' I said, 'Hey Vince, I wasn't expecting it, but thanks for hiring me again.' He's like, 'Oh Jimmy, I didn't hear you were fired. Just had so much on my plate, but hey, that's great that you're back, and this time we're gonna make a negative out of a positive. Like last time when you were Akio, I didn't let you talk because you were this Korean dude that had this southern accent. I can't let you talk. But this time we're gonna make you the Asian redneck, Jimmy Wang Yang.'" That's funny, Wang Yang, that rhymes, okay. This time he actually gets to talk, so there's that, but he's an Asian redneck. I don't get how this gimmick was created just like that. It was just so random. Yes, Jimmy Wang Yang was born. On the August 25th, 2006 episode of SmackDown, Jimmy Wang Yang introduced himself to the SmackDown fans. He let everyone know that he's a redneck, and he's their boy. Over the next couple of weeks, vignettes aired in anticipation of Yang's arrival.
"Do I look like I know where the Japanese restaurant is? If it ain't cooked in the barbecue pit, I ain't eating it. Yeah!
Jimmy Wang Yang passed with straight D's.
It was a bit weird, but he's on TV at least, so there's that. On the September 22nd episode of SmackDown, Jimmy Wang Yang was set to debut in Montreal but backed out because of the French language. He felt a culture shock of sorts, but he promised to debut the following week. Funny enough, Jimmy Wang Yang faced the ambassador of Quebec the following week. His music got Michael Cole laughing, and throughout the match, JBL was highly critical of the guy. Jimmy Wang Yang showcased some of his skills. He was explosive. Bradshaw's commentary was pretty hilarious, and the resident redneck was filled with fury. And now you're probably thinking Yang won, right? Well, he didn't. He lost to freaking Sylvan, who they didn't even do anything with after this victory. Following this, Wang Yang was paired with the Diva Search contestant, Amy Zidane. The same night, Yang faced Gregory Helms. Despite the challenging opposition, Wang Yang had the match won, but Sylvan provided the distraction and Helms capitalized. After the match, Matt Hardy made the save, and the bizarre feud never really had a conclusion. Hell, I don't even think this was a feud because Sylvain came from out of nowhere and attacked them for no real reason. He beat him a month earlier and now he's coming back to attack him. It didn't make sense. A month later, Jimmy Wang Yang got himself a cruiserweight title match for Armageddon by beating Jamie Noble. Gregory Helms was pretty pissed. Not at Jimmy being his opponent, but because he's got to defend the title. The next week, well, you notice something different. Well, Amy Zidane, that girl, got fired in probably the most hilarious story I've ever heard from this era of WWE. So apparently Zidane managed to butt heads, sorry, I just had to say that, with a couple of women in the company. Layla, Crystal, Vicky Guerrero, and most importantly, Stephanie McMahon. Although the Vicky story, it was definitely worse because she was rude. Wang Yang elaborated on this story in a recent interview with Tommy Dreamer. Here it is, and I quote, "The second week we were introducing her again and I'm standing there ready to do the pre-tape. Stephanie walks by and Amy reaches over and says, 'Hey, I'm Amy. Who are you?' I left. She didn't know who Stephanie McMahon was, and Stephanie blew it off because she was a Diva Search girl, so they don't know about wrestling. I thought I got swept under a rug, and I wasn't there for the second story, but I heard she was in the locker room with Vicky Guerrero, and they are having their girl talk, and she asked Vicky, 'So how did you get into the business?' I think that's the one thing that blew up, because then when we were in Boston at the arena, Regal and Taylor were in the ring, and we were doing a tag or a six-man. I went to the Gorilla to go out through the entrance, and Johnny Laurinaitis and Dean Malenko grabbed her and told me to just go to the ring. I got in the ring and Regal asked, 'Where's your bird at?' I said, 'I think she just got fired.' I think it got around that she didn't know who Stephanie was and she didn't know who Vicky was. And okay, this girl definitely doesn't belong in this business. I honestly don't have any memories of her, to be honest. But the fact that she insulted Vicky Guerrero like that, how rude. She was completely clueless as to what was going on. And many believe her signing was a Johnny Ace signing, so there's that. And apparently he was the one who fired Akio and all that stuff. Now moving on, Yang's match with Helms at Armageddon was pretty good. Cool moves as expected. Helms was playing dirty, generating heat. The resident redneck began a comeback, heel kicks, missile drop kick, but Helms found himself in control once again. JBL was pretty pissed off at the fact that the fans were chanting boring, and he demanded they get their asses up and cheer. Yang showed he could keep up with the champion, but a corkscrew moonsault attempt proved to be deadly, and Helms took advantage to win this one. Afterwards, Yang didn't really appear on SmackDown that much, and he did participate in the Cruiserweight Open at No Way Out. During that match, he was actually the one to end Gregory Helms' year-long title reign, and the fans went crazy upon the revelation. Yang then beat JB Noble, and at last, he was Cruiserweight Champion. Oh, hell no. Chavo swooped in as a surprise entrant and stole the title from Yang's hands. They had a rematch about a month later, and it was pretty competitive, but this time around, it was Yang who got the best of Chavo with a smooth sequence. Despite the victory, Yang didn't get his title shot. He would have to earn it about 3 months later in order to face Chavo at Vengeance, Night of Champions. The match was decent. Once again, the crowd thought it might be Yang's night. He was evading Chavo's effective moves. 3 amigos, more like 2, Lasso from El Paso, and at that moment, it seemed like the 3 count was there, but once again, when Jimmy went up to the top, he messed up and Chavo capitalized to a chorus of boos due to the frog splash. So he lost. The following Cruiserweight champion ended up being Hornswoggle, and if anything, should have been Jimmy, but Vince thought Hornswoggle was a better fit. I mean, when he doesn't even care about the IC title, what does he even think about the Cruiserweight Gold? But Hornswoggle, that's a whole other story. Back to Jimmy Wang Yang. After this, Tori Wilson became Wang Yang's valet for a short time, and in October, he began teaming up with Shannon Moore. And looking at this team, they really should have done something with them. The Reject and the Radneck. I'm not just saying this because these guys weren't doing too much, and I'm just looking at a sea of stars and saying, oh, those two are the most underrated. No, I don't mean that. The duo are pretty fun to watch. They were talented, and it gave them a chance to showcase their skills, albeit a short time. In their debut, the team defeated Deuce and Domino, and they were pure babyfaces as they should be. From there, they had a program with Miz and Morrison, and their first match on the December 11th episode of ECW, it was cool. Yang was just simply exciting to watch. More too, but Yang is on a whole other level, I guess. The heels isolated Shannon for a bit, and once Yang entered, he had so much momentum. He was hitting this ridiculous-ass monkey flip. The fans were cheering, and it had so much fury that Morrison had to resort to cheating. Miz provided the assist, and so the champions won. Despite the loss, it made Yang and Moore look good because they didn't lose clean. There was a sequel the following week that saw Wang Yang and Shannon Moore score the upset. Once again, fun action. The guy, Yang, was eager to get that W. He was fast-paced, rough, flying. Miz and Morrison made a mistake, and Jimmy was there to hit the beautiful moonsault to win. What this victory meant was that Wang Yang and Shannon Moore would receive a title shot against Miz and John Morrison. They would do just that on the January 8th, 2008 episode of ECW. Morrison and Miz defended the gold in a 15 minutes of fame match. and this match is widely regarded as the very best in the series. It was essentially an Iron Man match. Some people may criticize his way of life, but damn did Yang put on a performance. Morrison cheated to win the first fall at 11 minutes. Yang bounced back a couple of minutes later with the moonsault, and then it was all Miz and Morrison. They worked on Jimmy's leg for a bit, but then Shannon got the tag, and momentum was finally on the good guys' side. Shannon got a reverse neck breaker, but it wasn't enough for the fall. The match was starting to heat up, and Miz was getting his ass whooped. With 5 seconds left, Yang hit the moonsault, but he couldn't go for the cover because of the leg. And damn, that just pissed me off thinking about it. They were so damn close to winning the titles, and yeah, it's unfortunate. I think they would have been good tag team champions. They would have had some sort of open challenge, Reject and Redneck against some other teams. I think it would have been cool. But it wasn't to be. Following this, the team never reached the same heights as they did. Sure, they got another title shot a couple of months later, but other than that, not much. The team deserved to be showcased more consistently than they were, because they were pretty entertaining in the ring. They got the fans behind them, the moves, the action, everything was good. Yang then violated the wellness policy in June of 2008, and Shannon was released in August. Upon his return, Wang became SmackDown's resident jobber. His final match with Shannon came on the August 8th episode when they lost to Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. But yes, he was always taking L's throughout 2008 and 2009 until he began teaming with Slam Master Jay. That's when they began losing together. Looking at this tag team for the first time in years, I was laughing. There were tears in my eyes when I seen them. It was just so damn random. First of all, I don't know who Master Jay was trying to be. K-Fed, Malibu's Most Wanted, Channing Tatum, dancing hip-hop stuff. I don't know, that's all I can think of. It's outdated for even 2010 standards, but yes, that's what he was.
You can't be looking at no pancake booty girls.
Shortly thereafter, both men were released from their contracts on April 22nd, 2010. And that's Jimmy Wang Yang's run. He's doing pretty good right now. I think he should have been Cruiserweight Champion. I think he should have been a Tag Team Champion with Shannon Moore. It's unfortunate. He did what he could with the character, and it was always going to be limited. I don't think anyone expected him to be IC champion, although he could have been a pretty good one. It is what it is. The character limited him. If he got in a different character, maybe it would have been much more bigger, but yes. I think the Asian Redneck could have done a little more. But it was never going to be a big star or even a solid mid-carder with the character, I guess. They saddled him with this thing, and he did his best, and yeah. What did you guys think of Jimmy Wang Yang? Please comment down below. And that's the first video. Make sure you hit a spinning heel kick on the like button, and perhaps the moonsault on the subscribe button. Peace, I'm out.